The Galactic Council had one universal rule that every species agreed upon: never underestimate a human's capacity for irrational compassion. Elena Karen learned this about herself on a Tuesday, or what passed for Tuesday on Station Viridian 9, humanity's first deep space diplomatic outpost at the edge of contested territory. She was 3 hours into her 12-hour shift as a xenobiological surveyor when the alarm didn't sound, the warning lights didn't flash, and her supposedly secure specimen containment unit simply opened. The Scarix cub tumbled out onto the sterile floor with all the grace of a newborn, attempting physics for the first time. Elena froze. Her hand hovered over the emergency containment button, but she didn't press it. The cub, no larger than a terrier, though its species would eventually grow to the size of an earth grizzly bear, with twice the predatory instinct, stared up at her with 6 crystalline eyes that reflected the laboratory's fluorescent lighting like tiny moons. "Vorek," she whispered, reading the designation tag still attached to the cub's collar. "You're not supposed to be out." Vorek made a sound somewhere between a purr and a growl, a frequency that should have triggered every prey instinct evolution had gifted humanity. Instead, Elena crouched down, her brown eyes meeting the cub's multifaceted gaze. The Scarix were apex predators from a death world 3 sectors away. Their adults had serrated claws that could slice through hull plating, a bite force that exceeded Earth's ancient megalodon, and a hunting efficiency that made them the most feared species in known space. The Council had sent Vorek's pod to the station for behavioral research, attempting to understand if these creatures could ever coexist with the galactic community. Every other species on the station gave the Scarix specimens a wide berth. The Vexians, themselves no strangers to violence, had requested immediate transfer when they learned the predators were aboard. The peaceful Luminari had filed 14 formal complaints. But humans? Humans were different. Elena extended her hand slowly, palm up, the same way she'd done with stray dogs in the alleys of New Mumbai during her childhood. "Hey there, little guy. You must be scared." Vorek's nostril slits flared, analyzing her scent. The cub tilted its head, processing information through neural pathways designed for calculating kill trajectories and identifying weakness. What it found instead was something its species had never encountered before. A predator that smelled like prey. A warrior that moved like a caretaker. A creature whose chemical signature screamed danger, but whose body language whispered safety. The cub took 3 tentative steps forward and pressed its scaled snout into Elena's palm. "Okay," Elena said, her voice soft. "Okay, we're friends now." She should have returned Vorek to containment immediately. Protocol demanded it. Station Commander Jakal would probably strip her of her surveyor credentials. But as she looked into those 6 crystalline eyes, she saw something that transcended species, language, and the vast darkness between stars. She saw trust. Elena stood, and Vorek moved with her, staying close to her legs. She had work to complete specimen cataloging, atmospheric readings, maintenance reports that couldn't wait. The logical choice was to secure the cub and continue her duties. Instead, she turned back to her workstation. Vorek followed. For the next 20 minutes, Elena moved through the laboratory while the galaxy's most feared predator cub trailed behind her like an imprinted duckling. She cataloged crystalline samples from the Andorian belt, cross-referenced genetic markers from the Typhon Nebula specimens, and updated atmospheric readings from the station's biodomes, all while Vorek watched with the intense curiosity of youth. Then, without warning or request, Vorek leaped. The cub's powerful hind legs launched it upward, claws finding purchase on Elena's standard-issue jumpsuit. In 3 seconds, Vorek had scaled her back and perched on her shoulders, wrapping around her neck like a scaly, apex predator scarf. Elena's breath caught. She could feel the cub's claws retracted, but present pressing against her collarbone. One wrong move, one moment of predatory instinct, and those claws could open her throat before the medical team could respond. "Vorek," she said carefully. "This is unconventional." The cub rumbled that same purr growl that vibrated against her spine. It was warm, impossibly heavy for its size. and absolutely not supposed to be there. Elena reached for her communicator. The smart choice was to call for backup, to have the Xeno containment team extract the cub before something went wrong. Her finger hovered over the button. Then Vorik nuzzled against her ear, and Elena made a decision that would later be analyzed by xenopsychologists across 14 systems. She went back to work. The sight of Elena Karen walking through Station Viridian 9 with a Scarix cub draped across her shoulders became legend before her shift ended. The Vexian security officer dropped his plasma rifle in shock. The Luminari delegation filed complaint number 15. Commander Jacqual's 3 mandibles hung open in an expression that translated roughly to, "What the actual hell?" But Elena simply nodded politely, checked off items on her datapad, and continued her rounds. Vorik rode her shoulders through the biodomes, where the cub's eyes widened at the sight of earth plants growing under alien suns. They passed through the observation deck, where Vorik pressed against the viewport, watching distant stars with the wonder of someone seeing infinity for the first time. In the specimen analysis chamber, Elena needed both hands for a delicate genetic sequencing procedure. Vorik adjusted position, distributing weight differently, somehow understanding without words that the human needed freedom to work. When Elena's shoulder cramped from holding the uncomfortable angle required for the calibration, Vorik shifted again, providing counterpressure that eased the strain. They were adapting to each other. Predator and prey. Alien and human. 2 species that should have been enemies, learning a different language. Hours passed. Elena's shift stretched from 3 hours remaining to 2, then 1, then 30 minutes. Station personnel stopped filing complaints and started taking pictures. By hour 10, a crowd had gathered outside the laboratory, watching through the transparent aluminum as the human xenobiologist completed her tasks with a fully grown predator's cub wrapped around her like a breathing backpack. When the shift finally ended, Elena returned to the containment area. She didn't force Vorik down. She simply stood before the open specimen unit and waited. The cub understood. Some things transcend language. Vorik climbed down slowly, claws gentle on Elena's jumpsuit, and padded back into the containment unit. But before the door closed, the cub turned back, 6 eyes meeting 2, and made a sound that the station's translation AI couldn't process. It didn't need to. Elena understood perfectly. Later, the Galactic Council would study the footage. They would analyze the interaction from every angle, debate its implications, and ultimately revise 17 protocols regarding human-xeno relations. But the conclusion was always the same. Humans possessed something that couldn't be quantified by sensors or cataloged in databases: an irrational, illogical, absolutely insane willingness to show compassion to things that could kill them. And somehow, impossibly, it made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Because anyone could learn to destroy. But only humanity had mastered the art of teaching predators how to care.